I have not been this frightened in a long time. I put a permit on the 61 Chevy to bring it home and talked my father into. Uh, I went home after work and I got my father to drive me back to the school so that I could bring the 61 home because we got the brakes going, we got everything going, and oh my lordy, you start to reevaluate how you spent your life when you're behind the wheel of one of these. So, backstory, in case you missed it, I'd been my heart's been going pitter pat for a 60 to 66 Chevy C10. I looked at a couple. There was one out for sale here in town, and the guy wanted like $2,200, and it's like that's a good price. It's up on a trailer in the ad, and so I emailed him. I said, "Have you got papers for it?" And he wrote back and said, "Oh yeah, I got papers for it." And by yeah, I got papers, what he really meant was, "No, I don't got the papers for that." What he had was the papers that you needed to get the papers, because ICBC, our provincial vehicle insurance place, they don't know where the papers are. So and see, the thing is, if they can't find the papers, that means a vehicle inspection. And a vehicle inspection is kind of the kiss of death for a modified vehicle. I'd have to fix the thing completely, get it inspected, get it to pass, then take it all apart and molest it in the ways that I can. There was another one parked a number of blocks from my house. They wanted $4,000. It was in nicer shape. It was a '64 GMC. It's still around, but they I never saw BC plates on it, just Alberta plates, which means getting a vehicle inspection, which means I got to fix everything, get it to pass, and then molest it. I didn't want that. So there's another one out on the other side of the lake, and so I emailed him, "Have you got papers for it?" He didn't reply, but the next week the ad said in the corner of the ad in a cryptic thing, it just said papers. So I phoned, I went out there, I drove out, and so what's the story on this one? He said, well, it was a buddy of mine, I bought it off him. It's a Saskatchewan truck. Oh, okay. So is it still a Saskatchewan truck? Yeah. Sweet. That means I need to get an inspection. Oh no, he says. No, it's easy. You can get it through an inspection. I said, not when I'm done with it, I won't be. So I walked away from that one too, and I kind of gave up and looked at just fixing up the '77 Chevy C10 that I'm driving every day. And I resigned myself to that. And I went clickety click on LMC Truck just to see what it would be into to fix the '77. And figured it'd be like $8,500 Canadian to get all the parts to make it acceptable. And it's a neat truck, but it doesn't make my heart go pitter pat. So I figured I'll just sit on that and wait till the fall and decide in the fall if that's really what I want. Well, the next week, this '61 Chevy shows up in the Facebook marketplace, and they wanted $3,000, and so I emailed them about the papers. But I'm learning, right? I'm a more specifically worded email. I said, "Do you have valid BC registration for this vehicle in your name?" And they wrote back, "Yes, I have valid BC registration for this vehicle in my name." Okay, cool. Next question. "Does this vehicle have any outstanding order for inspection?" They wrote back, "This vehicle does not have any outstanding order for inspection." Sweet. So I went out to look at it. I offered $2,500. It didn't stop, didn't run, didn't do nothing. But it's been sitting since 1998. So as of this video, 20 years it's been sitting. So, anyways, I got it for $2,500, and it's not quite what I wanted. I wanted a '64 to '66 with a flatter windshield and the less bugly front end, but this has got a cool factor that you just don't see anymore. That wraparound windshield and the big nostril hood is kind of cool. And if you had a '64 to '66, you kind of got to build that up in muscle. But this, with that late '50s vibe, you got to do it as like a cruiser in like the unnatural pastels and white walls and hubcaps. And I'm kind of digging that. It's because that's different and that's cool. These were even rare back when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. So here we are bringing it home. We got the brakes going. I picked 3 of my best students to do the brakes, and I demoed. And you can see the videos. I've got links in here to see the videos on fixing all the brakes and getting it running. Now this intersection kicked my butt. I stalled it. I thought I stalled it. I didn't actually stall it, and then I stalled it again, and I'm rolling backwards, and my father's behind me, and I don't know how close he is, and I don't have an e-brake that actually works. And finally, I just kind of gave up, put it in granny low, and punched it, which it's a deep enough gear you can pull a house off the foundation. But I chugged this eyesore through the intersection, and people like honking and waving and shielding their kids' eyes from this monstrosity. But now, Pops didn't make it through the intersection with his van, so I pulled over right over here and just kind of wait for him to catch up. And I'm waiting for the adrenaline to go down because I'm not this. We've come a long way since 1961. Let's be honest, really. It's cool, but this is a step, maybe 2 steps above a tractor as far as convenience and ease of driving. Driving this truck is like Eeyore, I guess is the best description. Oh yeah, here comes the vehicle. I'm like, oh crap, I'm blocking the way. Of course someone has to leave from whatever's up there. So I back up. Well, the clutch is pooched on this thing, so it's like to get going, where you risk stalling. But I'm nice. I wave them on. Here, pull out now. You get hit by a car. No, I'm not that mean. I'm mostly mean. I'm not all mean. Pop's caught up, so off I go. So this is like driving Eeyore. I mean, you're driving and you step on the brakes, and the brakes are like, all right. And there's a bit of play on the steering wheel, so the car drifts off to one side of the highway, and you steer to correct it, and the steering's like, yeah, just a minute. And then it goes the way you want it to go, and then it goes too far, so you try to steer it back, and it's like, yeah, we'll get there, hang on. We've come a long way. And the shifter is big, and you mostly got a pretty good feel where the gears are. It's kind of like reaching into a big bucket of wrenches and hoping you grab the right one with the clanky, clunky, buggery, blech. It's a driving experience. You're at the top of your senses driving this beastie. So, yeah. Glove box doors gaping wide open. You can see that. The little latch thingy seems to be missing, but you can buy all this stuff. The joy of a Chevy truck. There ain't nothing cheaper than a Chevy truck. You'll buy lots of parts, but they're cheap parts. If you look closely at the rearview mirror hanging off the roof there, it's crooked. It's screwed onto the roof crooked. I'm curious if someone put it in as an afterthought, or was it crooked from the factory? I don't know. It's 1961. You didn't really get the big acid trips until at least 62. I don't know. The Beatles came along. Anyways, it works. I kind of wanted to put plates on it just for a month or two to get the feel for the truck. But there's 2 great big cracks in the windshield. And, a cop seeing this thing going along with the gaping rust holes and the multicolored faded paint and cracks in the window, and they're just going to go all pitter-pat like, wow, I'm going to hit my quota on this truck alone. And then I probably have to get an inspection, and then I'm no better off than I was before. So, but it's mostly complete, which is pretty cool. Base model truck, no chrome, no fancy gauges. It does have the custom heater for whatever that means. You can see the radio. I think it's an AM in the middle of the dash. Below it, it looks kind of like a CB. It's an FM radio. And then right beside that, with the sun on it right now, you can see the trailer brakes on the side. It has a knob for headlights. I believe it has 1-speed windshield wipers. It has a choke for starting it, and it has a throttle cable that you can pull the throttle out and have a higher speed. Heaven knows why you'd want that. Maybe like old school cruise control? I don't know. Couldn't pull it to try it out because the plastic knob actually is stripped and it just came right off. Then they get the key switch and a cigarette lighter, which I haven't tried yet because I don't really care. But yeah, it works. About here on the trip out of town, I was just kind of getting up the courage to do the speed limit. And the speed limit here is 90. You can pretty much get away with doing 100, but I'm being passed by everybody, and I can't have that. So I put a little more stick into it, and I did get her up to 60 miles an hour, but there was a bit of nervous laughter doing so, because oh my lordy. Anyways, it wasn't too bad. Very bouncy. The shocks are done. I don't. There were probably a lot of rattles. I don't know. I think I had my eyes closed for most of it. But it was okay. Right around here, once we got up to about 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, um, I think I started to notice that my foot is pretty much almost on the floor, which means a top speed of maybe 65 miles an hour, maybe 70 if you're really lucky, which would be what, 110K? Yeah, not quite a much. Not quite a much. I'm just making up the English as we go. Yeah. Anyways, it was okay. Um, Pops was behind me, said there's a whole bunch of stuff falling off the truck as we left, but he figured it was mostly the wood bed disintegrating from the movement. He didn't flag me down, so I didn't go back to pick it up or anything. But the wood bed is rotten, and then there's a sheet of plywood over top of that, which is rotten. And I'll replace it all when I go through this truck. The orange that you see under the green paint is not primer, it's the original orange. It was an original orange truck, and I think they called it Omaha orange. I think that's the orange they had back then. It's kind of a reddier orange, not a bright orange, but kind of a darker orange. And I kind of think making this orange would be neat. I think I'm going to go for a creamsicle orange for that late 50s unnatural pastel color, and then white or off-white like they were done from the factory for the cab up, or like the windows sill up, and the grill and the bumpers and trim and blah blah blah. Although I returned the gun rack to the owner I bought it from because they wanted to keep the gun rack, and they gave me a box of stuff which included some of the C10 custom sail panels, the chrome strips that go behind the doors, which is really kind of cool, and I'm awfully tempted to put them on, but I haven't decided for sure if I want that. They look really cool, but being a base model truck and no chrome elsewhere, I kind of want to stick with the no chrome, but I'll decide. I have them. I don't have to decide today. The camera is a bit jiggly. It's a new camera to me. It's a GoPro clone made by Safari, and the mount that I have isn't really a tight fitting mount, so it's a little jiggly. The truck doesn't actually ride as bad as the camera makes you think it rides, but it doesn't really ride all that good either. Pops had pointed out that there were some clouds out the back, like smoke, I guess. I didn't really push him for how much or what. I mean, it's been sitting for so long, it's gonna burn oil until you've really driven it. Before we started the truck, it was really easy to turn the engine over by hand, but once it had run a bit, it was I guess more compression, or the rings loosened up. I may want to try that Marvel mystery oil stuff and have it soak into the rings, but I'm not going to keep this motor. The stove bolt is cool, but not a lot of power and not really good fuel economy. This is the airport intersection in Kelowna. And yeah, I mean, when you drive vehicles this old with these kind of brakes, you kept your distance. You did not follow too close because you won't stop. You had to give enough distance to know where you're going. All right, so we get through the intersection by the airport, and I'm looking at the traffic and the unpleasantries of driving this thing. And so one of the ways to get a little bit kind of into Kelowna that I avoid is an intersection a little bit further ahead. It goes through the industrial park just outside of Kelowna, and less traffic lights, certainly less traffic, because I'm heading home with this beast. Dad didn't quite know what I went. Oh, yeah, I have signal lights that will move left, and a brake light on the left side, but the right side of the vehicle there's nothing. And I didn't go and troubleshoot. I checked the bulbs are good. It's probably a wiring, or it's got that add-on big rig kind of hose clamp to your steering column signal light stock on it. And I've wired those and used those before. They're pretty foolproof, and there may be some kind of weird wiring thing, but whatever. They teach you hand gestures, so I used all my hand gestures. Well, at least the ones for turning and stopping. The overpass up here heads up to the college. Sorry, it's not the college. I'm old. When I went there, it was a college. Now it's UBC Okanagan. and round around this corner. It's always the merging with the cars on the right-hand side. Merging is an art. You got to kind of merge traffic like cogs of a gear meshing together. Some people can't handle that reality. Speed limit through here is 80. I don't know what I was doing, but I was keeping a fair distance from the car ahead of me. And then instead of delving deeper into Kelowna where there's construction zones and more cars, I just hang a left. I got my arm out the window and signaling to go into this lane just to get off the highway. It's usually quicker to get off here and then tootle through the industrial parks. Except today, where I seem to hit it badly and there's 300 cars coming at me. Then I get to try that gorgeous first gear. But, you know, it doesn't make any power, so you can put it to the floor. You're probably not going to over-rev it. It's gutless, really. But, yeah, if you want, you could just sit there going click, 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 thinking you got signal lights. If I had other cars, I would have made that last entrance, but I don't know. Missing 2 heater controllers. You can get them through LMC. Anyways, should be a hole in traffic, and then I will turn. Like I have to tell you, you've probably driven before. Here I go! Woo, we made it! Into second gear, into third gear. I can run this fast. I'm in third gear in a full-size truck. Hooray! Over the bridge that's deliciously too narrow. And of course, everybody's on this road today, because why not? Look at all these cars. Usually there's nobody. On this street, I was doing some tuning late at night with my Super 7. You can probably find links to the pictures and the videos on the Super 7. And it's like 10 o'clock at night in the industrial park, and I just pulled over to do a little bit of remapping, and somebody came out of this trailer storage area on the right-hand side wondering if I was having some mechanical difficulties or whatever. So, oh, no, I'm just tuning. Oh, well, we heard you out here. Oh, sorry. I was trying to tune my car where there was nothing. But you never know. People living in trailers in the weirdest places. This is part of one of my favorite parts of Kelowna. There's a KMS Tools out here. There's Ackland's Granger is out here. Metal Supermarkets is out here. There's a Husky gas station, which does propane and whatnot. And there's not a whole lot of traffic comes through. There's Prax Air welding supplies as well, just a little bit ahead and on the left. And I think Okanagan College has an outlet here where they teach kids how to do something. I don't really know. And then there's this big big building just ahead and to your left with the weird awnings that are tilted the wrong way. And that's a new building. I'm not sure what's in there yet. I'll have to figure it out. Lots of potholes because there is heavy truck traffic that comes through here, which isn't always the best for the streets. And then up ahead, they just put in this roundabout last year, just before winter, which has been good because the intersection that I would have turned off on the highway is a lot of people get accidents there because there's like 5 streets merging into one, and somebody's going to be knocked out of the way. I got T-boned to that intersection once a number of years ago, but Advantage, the ICBC fixed up the repair and a previous damage, so it wasn't too bad. So here I am, first gear. Oh, better shift in a second. Oh, it looks like I started off on second. Look at that. And heading off. A lot of orchards out in this part of Kelowna. At least a few of them are still left. I think there's 2 golf courses. 3. There's 3 golf courses and a driving range. But where I'm going, oh, that's somewhere special. And that's down this street over here. Because, you know, when you just get yourself a car going and you want to celebrate with a car that you just spent a whole bunch of time working on and making it look good, there's only one thing that makes your belly feel good after that. Beer. No beer, I don't drink. Sorry. But up ahead is a place that I love called Okanagan Pizza. Oh, yeah. And you can order online, too. Go pick it up whenever. It used to be called OK Pizza, but that's probably not the best name, eh? Hey, where'd you get that? Oh, it's OK Pizza. What's it like? It's okay. So it's Okanagan Pizza, which is pretty cool. Pulling in with this death trap, It actually stopped before I smashed the door. And then there we are. Pops pulls in beside me, and I had him carry the pizza home so that it didn't smell like gasoline in an old truck. But Pops pulls up, says, "How was it?" And I say, "I have never been more frightened." And then the discussion, right? Like, "Oh, we've come a long way since 1961. Oh, crikey." And he just giggles. And then probably saying, "Remember when I went from the 94 Nissan hardbody and went to the 77 Chevy and I drove it for the first time and went, ooh, we've come a long way since 1977. Well, this is the next step down. Oh, we've come even further from 1961. It looks cool, though. That's what it's all about. It's got to look good. So, pick up the pizza. We got a medium T-Rex. It's like a meat lover's pizza. The kids like that one a lot. And then I ordered a medium, starts with a G, Gladiator, which is one of my favorites. And if I order 2 pizzas, I'll get one as a Gladiator, and I say, please put all the hot peppers on half. Yes, that's twice as many peppers on one half. All the peppers that would be on the whole thing on one half, because I like hot peppers. Oh, howdy do I like hot peppers. But I'm the only one who likes that much in the way of hot peppers. So, there it is. And we hop back in the beast. Surprisingly, it fires all up. Then try to find reverse. Back it up. Arm, strong, steering. Oh my gosh. And most people just kind of wanted to stay away from this. So you could probably drive it pretty good, and everybody will just avoid you because they're thinking, when was the last time I got my tetanus shot? And then back out on the highway.